DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. We hear about it literally all the time, right? Fundamentally, it's really just a molecule. It is literally just a bunch of atoms stuck together, taking the shape of this incredibly long spiraling ladder. But today, we're going to look past the textbook definitions to uncover the actual mechanical magic behind this tiny molecule.
Because, this brings us to a massive, totally mind-bending question. How can a mere molecule, just a twisting, microscopic ladder of atoms, act as a blueprint for something as incredibly complex and wonderful as a tree, a dog, or, a dinosaur? If you've ever taken basic biology or even just watched Jurassic Park, you've definitely heard that DNA acts as a recipe for living things. But how exactly does it pull that off? Let's find out.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the blueprint of life. So, to understand this biological blueprint, we first need to figure out what the building materials actually are. Enter amino acids. These are tiny, tiny chemicals inside our bodies, and they're so absolutely crucial that scientists often refer to them as the building blocks of life. Think of them kind of like microscopic biological Legos. They just snap and attach to each other to produce a nearly endless variety of larger, much more complex particles, and we call those larger particles proteins.
Now here's a super vital number to remember, 20. There are about 20 different kinds of these amino acid Legos inside us, and each one has its very own, completely unique shape.
Let's actually map this out, going from the micro up to the macro. How exactly do we get from microscopic chemicals up to a living creature like you or me? Well, step 1, our amino acids snap together to make proteins. Step 2, those proteins combine to form living cells. Step 3, those cells group together to make our tissues. Step 4, those tissues build our organs. And finally, step 5, when all those organs combine, they form living, breathing creatures.
Section 2, the building blocks. Keep in mind, there are millions of different kinds of proteins making up our bodies right now, and each one of them must be formed in the absolute perfect shape to actually work. If they're the wrong shape, they're pretty much useless. And that is exactly where DNA steps in. DNA's main, most well-understood function is to tell those amino acids exactly how to line up and form themselves into perfectly shaped proteins. Basically, if the right proteins are built at the right time and in the right place, everything else, from the cells to the whole creature, is going to come out just fine.
So let's zoom in on the DNA molecule itself. The steps of that twisting DNA ladder are made up of 4 different chemicals. And if you isolate just one half of the molecule, you can actually read this genetic code from top to bottom, sort of like reading a massively long book. I mean, a single strand of DNA is millions of letters long, and it spends almost its entire life just tightly coiled up, kind of like a wet noodle, safely locked inside the nucleus of a cell. Which brings us to section 3, the RNA messenger. Now, what's really interesting here is a grand biological problem. DNA is stuck living securely inside the nucleus, right? But the amino acids live completely outside the nucleus in a place called the cytoplasm. So how do they ever connect? Well, biology has this brilliant workaround. Special chemicals make partial copies of the DNA code, and we call those copies RNA. Unlike DNA, which is massive and double-sided, RNA is much shorter and missing one side of the ladder. That specific shape lets it slip right through tiny pores in the nucleus and completely escape out into the cytoplasm. Section 4, the protein factory. So once the RNA travels out into the cytoplasm, it heads directly into the mouth of a microscopic machine called a ribosome. These ribosomes are the dedicated protein-building machines out there in the cytoplasm. We've officially entered the factory floor, folks. This is where the actual building blocks of life are methodically, painstakingly pieced together. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this assembly line works. Step 1, the ribosome reads the RNA code, but it reads it strictly 3 letters at a time. Step 2, for every 3 letters it reads, it sucks a specific amino acid right out of its surroundings. Step 3, it sticks that amino acid onto a growing chain. It just relentlessly reads, sucks, and sticks, following that genetic code perfectly. To show you just how ridiculously precise this is, every 3 letters of the RNA code commands the ribosome to grab one very specific amino acid out of the 20 available. For example, if the code reads CAA, it commands the ribosome to grab an amino acid called glutamine. If it's AGU, it grabs serine, and it just keeps going, building step by step.
Now, as this chain of amino acids grows longer and longer, it doesn't just hang there in a straight line. It bends, it folds up, and it sticks to itself, eventually forming a perfectly shaped protein. And once that newly built protein is complete, it releases and goes off to do incredible things in your body, like helping to form a brand new cell.
Finally, Section 5.
Chemistry, not magic. So the crucial point is this entirely clear chain of events. Let's wrap it up. DNA creates RNA. RNA escapes the nucleus and creates proteins, and those proteins go on to form life. It is an incredibly precise, perfectly tuned biological assembly line. So what does this all mean? How absolutely incredible is it to realize that this sophisticated, magical-seeming process creating your life right now is actually entirely based in understandable chemistry? It is not magic, it's chemistry. It can be studied, it can be entirely understood, and the craziest part is that it is operating inside your own hands right at this very moment. Seriously, keep that in mind the next time you wonder what you're truly made of.